Hi everyone, it's Ren here. I saw you just earlier on, although you were not aware of it. Well, not aware that this was just earlier on, but I was talking to you about the INFJs there. So I'm inspired to do little videos on ENFPs here. I've been thinking about it, because I made a video on INFPs, what I feel like is the relationship between INFJs and INFPs based on my brother. And it's a video that got quite a bit of interest from INFJs, INFPs alike, and maybe other people. And, although I don't have any relative in my family among ENFPs, though my grandfather, who's now passed away, I think he might have been one. He was either INFP or ENFP, but let's say that he was INFP, and it doesn't count because I'm not quite certain. But I happen to have a lot of ENFP friends. You're talking about maybe 4 or 5, so that's kind of an interesting sample because, I don't have any INTJ friends. I don't really have any INTP friends, close friends. I have ENTP friends, I have ENFP friends, and many other ones. But I think that among the ENFPs, there are certain things that I perceive as not always expressed in the way that I see them. So, obviously, the cliche a little bit is I guess the cliche is that they are very scattered and that they are extremely creative and spontaneous. They process things really fast, but maybe they have a bit of a difficult time with focusing on things, keeping track of everything that they start, finishing things. And, they're a little bit kind of zany or something. That's the cliche again. I'm not saying that's the case of all the NFPs, but that they're mostly super creative, super verbally fluent. I mean, it's true when you see Russell Brand or when you see Robin Williams or many other ENFPs. They do appear kind of lightning fast, way faster than any INFJ could ever achieve, or, and an ENTP would keep up, but are probably the 2 fastest processors of information. But they extrovert their perception, their intuition, they extrovert it. So I think that's partly what makes it so quick, And I had an ENTP colleague not long ago, so not the same, but quite close, and it was striking really how fast he was. I felt like I was a simpleton compared to him a lot of the time. I guess my intelligence is different. It's not so much in terms of being lightning quick, but more, again, a contemplative person's someone who thinks a lot, but often by himself, and comes up with insights at his own pace. ENFPs are really fast, so that really is the case. But still, there are different kinds of ENFPs. ENFPs who are like this, I think that, you look at Russell Brand and you understand that that's what is impressive about them. But honestly, as a result of this big focus on any dumbness, what's a little bit forgotten about in the ENFP profile, in my opinion, and based on my friends, is just how in tune they are with their feelings. It's a result of introverted feeling, obviously, and it's an auxiliary for them. It's not their dominance. So, whereas it's going to be talked about a lot in the case of INFPs, although INFPs also have a lot of NE, and that tends to be talked about. In the case of the ENFPs, I get the impression that what's talked about is mostly, at least from the perspective of a non-ENFP, what's talked about is the extroverted intuition and how they're creative and zany and entertaining and charismatic and all these things. But their F function when it's developed, and the F function of my friend is developed in every case, I would say. I am drinking some coffee. Sorry about that. they have a form of really strong confidence in their emotions, in what they think is right. And that's the interesting thing. It is in a way something that contrasts a lot with the image of the ENFP, which is an image of the zigzagging prodigy of mental agility. Because whereas there's prodigious mental agility, I'm going to make a controversial statement here. I think that there's not as much agility when it comes to feelings and emotions. And by the way, this is not really a critique or something that is controversial, because in a way it's a rather good thing to not be too multitasking or multifunction or adaptable in terms of feeling. I mean, you might say what your values are should more or less remain the same throughout your life. More or less, of course, you make some adjustments here and there, but it's a sign of integrity. Your values remaining integrity. I think that's the link here. It's a good sign, and it's notorious that an FE dominant or an FE auxiliary, like an INFJ, is so aware, FE aware as we call ourselves, that sometimes we adapt our values to the external environment so that we can fit in, like chameleons, And it's quite incredible, really, how ENFPs are not chameleons in the same sense at all. Like an ENFP will remain true in a much more rigid way, in my estimate, in my experience, to their innermost core values. It's very, very hard for them to say, to round your corners just for the sake of having imagine you're in a professional environment and you sort of need to bend the knee a little bit, or you need to sort of adapt and sort of pretend that you're reneging on certain of your core values, which you relate to very, very strongly, for the sake of an outcome that's optimal for everyone. It's the best possible, and you would take fewer risks if you were to do that. I've seen this in the workplace. An ENFP will not find that as easy as an INFJ would, for instance, or any kind of FE user, because they are so close to their values, because their values are something that is like part of their emotional little inner world dwelling inside them that they relate to very intimately. It's like something that they would find very difficult. They would find it very difficult to compromise. And at the same time, what's interesting is that they believe that things can change, and they can change things for the best for a long period of time, even after it has appeared that the situation cannot really be corrected. And maybe an FE user would be like, okay, so I understand that. Listen, I could spend my time maybe better somewhere else. FE users cannot always do that, but there will probably be sometimes there will be a realistic about the fact that the situation. When I say realistic, I don't mean that in a value judgment sense, but they will make a judgment and then try to move on. The ENFP, I've sensed, they have this thing, and if they have decided that they want it to work, they will go to incredible lengths to make it work. They're not very flexible when it comes to these aspects of their emotions and feelings, and that sometimes that could lead to them being sad, being depressed. ENFPs are not always by any means the happy-go-lucky people that we see them being portrayed as sometimes, on the internet. ENFPs, but I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything too new here, but ENFP is a very deep type, very, very profound, and not at all superficial. And when they appear like maybe they're being superficially fun, it's because they don't want to show that like more introverted feeling side of things that for them is hard to express anyway, and is very intimately part of themselves. But it can suffer in there, and there are so many examples of obviously Robin Williams, but there are lots of like stars. I mean, I'm talking about celebrities because, you know, those are examples that maybe everybody would be able to relate to, but like stars, celebrities, good ones, let's say that, it's clear that there's a lot going on, but they keep it to themselves in a way, and they often don't really show that, but there's a lot going on, and their emotional life is very deep. It's very deep. It's easily as deep as the emotional life of an INFJ, you know, easily. And my friends like are all that way, you know. The F in an ENFP is very strong. It's not just about the NE, you know. I mean, there's the T as well. Maybe I don't know as much about that. I've seen the T in action, but I guess it's probably more relevant for me as an external observer to focus on NE and FI. But again, the NE, we know what it's like, but the FI and the importance of, you know, for the ENFPs, the importance of how they feel, listening to how they feel, and often trying new experiences, because you know that there's also this whole idea of trying new experiences, always wanting to be like on the go, looking for adventures. I think that a lot of the time they look for adventures that lock in terms of values with what they feel. It's not just the adventure for the sake of the adventure. It's not just the novelty for the sake of the novelty. It's often in an attempt to keep the internal emotional realm in harmony, because the harmony of their emotional realm is extremely important. And the adventures, they're fun, but they're also part of the maintenance of the harmony. It just so happens that the harmony is kept for ENFPs because they perceive things in an extrovert manner. It is kept, you know, harmonious indeed, through exploring new landscapes and contexts and making sense of it, also emotionally. And I think that's when the ENFP is most at peace and happiest, from what I've seen in my friends, you know. The F function, very important in an ENFP, and a type that has incredible emotional intelligence, and let's keep it in mind. So let me know what you think, guys. This was kind of improvised in ENFP fashion. And I'd just be very curious to know if this resonates with any of you, if you're ENFPs or if you're INFJs and have ENFP friends, or if you're any other type. All right, see you soon, guys. Take care. Have a nice day.